popular gaming podcast in the world. With me is my favorite.
If that world is Croydon.
If that world is Croydon, and of course, we hope it's not. But with me, as always, is my interrupting, handsome-looking, speckled, long-haired, bearded freak.
Wow. Wow.
Mr. Ross. Mr. Ross, how you been? What you been up to? How are you going to recover from that insult? So tell us about what's been going on in your life. What have you been playing? What have you been watching?
What have I been playing? I finished Psychonauts 2, which is at this point front runner for Game of the Year for me personally. It's so good. It's such a good game. So I finished that, and then Tales of Arise came out. So I'm about 9 hours into that now. Started that last Saturday.
It's been getting really good reviews.
It got really good reviews. Yeah, I think it's the best reviewed in the series, and I think it's the fastest to 1 million sales as well. So it looks like it's paying off for them. It's a big. They've taken a lot of. I don't know if I'd say risks. It's still very much a Tales of game, but they've really gone all out with the presentation. It looks so much better. Like you put this one next to Tales of Berseria, which was the last one that came out, and it looks like it's like 2 generations ahead. Well, it should, because Berseria looks like a PS2 game, but still, they've clearly spent some money on it, and it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm a big fan of the series anyway. I mean, I've got probably can't see because it's overexposed, but I've got like the Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition, Collector's Edition there, and Estelle figurine next to it.
Yeah, like anyone would think you're just a giant nerd.
Yeah,
like look at that. It's like a bedroom of a 15-year-old Korean schoolboy. I can't talk as well, man. Like you can't. I got all that paraphernalia in the background as well, man. Like, So
this is like the one reasonable corner of my room where I can record this podcast. But that's where all my nerd shit is.
Yeah.
Like there's other ones as well. I don't know if you can see. There's Zelos there from Tales of Symphonia.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the series, so I'm really enjoying Arise. It's very good. Yeah. What else have I been doing? Some stuff on Final Fantasy 14 as always. I think that's about it.
Yeah. So anything you've been watching? Any recommendations? Any anime? Any films? TV shows?
Nothing new. I've been because My Hero Academia season 5 started sort of fairly recently, and it had been years since I watched the last season. I started watching the whole show from season 1 again.
You do this all the time, man. I know. Everything.
It's because sometimes there's like 5-year gap between the season of anime.
You have a weird OCD, man. I tell you, it's just like.
Well, I kind of did the same with
you do that with
Titan.
And you do that with Marvel films as well. It's like, I've got to watch them in order before I can go watch the new film. You don't have to, man. You could just enjoy it as a standalone.
Well, no, I don't have to, but I quite enjoy watching it. But no, I did it with Attack on Titan because there was a massive gap between like 2 and 3. I rewatched 1 and 2. And then there was quite a gap between 3 and 4, so I rewatched 1 to 3 before 4.
That was a huge gap between 1 and 2. Huge. I thought the show was never going to come out again. Yeah. It's just like, that's that. Then that hype is gone. That show's over. But
yeah, I finished season 4 of My Hero Academia last night, so I'll start season 5 later today. So I'm finally watched the latest season, which some people I know that are watching it said it isn't great. So that's great use of my time. But what about you? What have you been playing and watching?
What have I been doing in my life? Well, thanks for asking, Mr. Ross.
Anything meaningful and worthwhile?
None of this shit's meaningful or worthwhile. It's all superficial and pointless. But what have I been playing? Obviously, been playing still going through Mass Effect Legendary Edition on our Twitch channel. I'm nearly done with 2. I've got 2 more loyalty missions, and I've got to collect the Reaper IFF. Once you do that, it's sort of like near the end game. You get to do like 1 or 2 missions before you have to do that the suicide mission. Otherwise, I don't want to give spoilers, but something happens. I've been doing that. Something happens Can you imagine nothing happens? Shepard just goes home or something like that.
They changed it in the remaster now. Just
yeah.
wait a minute, nothing's happening.
Wow, it's just having tea and going back home to see his mum. Yeah, I've been also started a new playthrough of Tomb Raider on Twitch, definitive edition, just to vary it up.
One.
Yeah, it's such a good game, and I talk about it. I gush about how good that reboot is. It is really good. It's so like concise. There's no sort of filler, no sort of padding. It's very like lean, and it's very good. It's very focused. Because I say, like with the other two in that trilogy, the Rise and Shadow, it started to lose its focus on the story, and they started to become a lot of fetch quests, which, do you know what I mean?
It become a bit more sort of open world collectathon.
Yeah, open world.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't like that. It just needlessly padded it out. I always like looking to find collectibles, but that should be naturally in the game, not having to like go and talk to one person to go and find like some feathers and stuff like that. So there's always a hub part in Rise and in Shadow, which I didn't really like. So
I liked both the games, but I do think like they kind of like descended in quality from like, it's TR 2013, then Rise, then Shadow.
I agree. What I've been watching, I've been watching the new Disney Plus show, the Marvel one, What If. There's some really good episodes in it, but I don't know. Like, I think it's been 6 episodes. I think I've only liked 2. I don't know if it's spoilers, but the premise. There's one with Doctor Strange. I thought that was I think that's episode 3.
I've heard good things about that one.
That one's a banger. I would recommend watching that. There's one with the zombies. And when you hear zombies and Marvel, you think,
zombies.
Yeah. It's okay. There's some sad moments, obviously, but the one with Doctor Strange, I think, is the standout so far. That's how it should be, because I kind of feel like they've been playing it a bit safe with the what ifs. Yeah, but with the Doctor Strange one, they really sort of went outside their comfort zone with that. I thought it was a really bold what they did there. Anything else I've been watching? No, nothing else. Like normally, like there'll be something on Netflix or Amazon to really, like, everyone would be watching, like the big thing. But there's nothing really standing out, because everyone now is like subscription channels are like popping up everywhere. Like HBO's got one and all that, and so like it's getting more.
Everything's really spread out.
Yeah, there's not like the Stranger Things or anything like that. It's that standout ones that everyone talks about. But I was gonna watch the new Evangelion film, the 3.3 plus
3+1.
Yeah, that bollocks. Just Evangelion 4. I was gonna watch that last night, but I decided to stream, so I might watch that tonight, because I seen 3.1 years ago there. I think that 8 years ago when it first got released. Where it's taken sort of for a more of a you got it, the hard copy there, have you? You've not, and I bet you've not watched it. You've not watched
the first one.
Yeah, first one. You're not. Oh my god. Yeah.
Do you know what it is? Well, again, it's like the amount of time between the films coming out.
There was a massive time.
Like a 10-year gap between
10 years. 10 years from the second
insane.
to the third. It was insane. I didn't like the third one. I didn't like it. I don't know why. It just I want to talk about it, but it'll be spoilers. But
so what I decided years back was like, I'm just going to wait till all 4 come out and then watch them back to back, and then obviously I've been waiting for 15 years or something. Yeah, but I mean, I've got the original like Platinum Plus collector's edition of the series.
But it's a good thing now, because Netflix have the original series on the streaming service. And I love the
new dub that people hated. Apparently, I haven't watched the new dub.
I haven't watched the new dub yet, but But on Amazon, there's the latest movies on there, so I probably might give that a watch. I've heard some good things about it. I mean, that show's so good; it's had like 4 different endings, you know. So yeah, it's had 4 different endings, like, and retellings and stuff. But I hope this is more of a sort of put it to bed sort of ending. So it satisfies most fans. But yeah,
I remember watching the first film when it first came out, and so much of it was just reused from the series that I was kind of like, "What's the point?"
it is basically.
But I know it diverged a bit more after that.
It diverges in halfway in the second film, where it sort of takes a sort of different turn. I was like, okay, as long as it's not a parallel timeline, alternate reality, it's basically the same story, but they don't try and make out going, oh, this is like like the Final Fantasy or just the Star Trek reboot, where it's like it branches off into a different timeline, what if and sort of scenario. Doesn't do that. It's more its own story, which I kind of prefer. So yeah. So other than that, that's all I've been doing with my life. Just working for the man. Slaving away with my corporate overlords. But I was going to say, like, now the world's sort of coming back to some sort of normalcy, kind of, even though there's still a lot of anti-vaxxers, protests, and people like who very like I've got that conspiracy theory mindset are out there, and it's still quite a scary world out there. But we got cons and stuff returning, MCM, EGX. I don't know about Hyper Japan, if that's coming back. Well, I know the London gaming market's coming back, which I probably won't go to because that is very
very closed in.
That's very closed in. That's a bit
claustrophobic.
Risky. Yeah, that's a bit risky. At the best of times, even before this, is very like shoulder to shoulder. So I don't know if I probably won't go to that this year. I probably will hold off until next year. But yeah, all the stuff we like doing is all sort of coming back. So hopefully, like with that, will be more videos of us gallivanting outside.
But back out in the world.
Yeah, but anyway, man, we've been going on enough about this. Let's talk about gaming news, Mr. Rolls. What has been happening in the world of gaming? And this time, we've come prepared.
Slightly prepared.
Slightly prepared, man.
We spent like a minute on this before we started recording.
Tell us what's been happening in the world of gaming, Mr. Rolls. And let's talk.
Well, Sony had their big event because they've been quiet for a long time.
They have.
And didn't do anything around E3 time.
Nope.
But,
or Gamescom.
Yeah. Nope. They had their little event sort of post Gamescom, I guess.
Yeah. They're doing a Nintendo thing now, aren't they? Where they're doing their own sort of events. Sorry.
And ignoring. They haven't been at E3 for a few years now, I don't think. But
yeah, about 2 years now.
But they didn't do anything around E3 time either. They kind of waited until, what was it, the beginning of the month, I think. They did it sort of maybe a couple of weeks ago at this point. And showed some stuff. They showed the first full trailer of God of War Ragnarok, which looked very nice.
But, it looks fantastic. I own the God of War on PS4. I've not yet played it yet. I've been meaning to get around to it, but time.
It's on the shelf behind me somewhere there, behind the Nier collector's edition. I played it and I thought it was decent, but
wow, that's sacrilege. That's been that got Game of the Year nomination.
I know, it's very highly rated. It looks amazing, and the story's okay, and the combat's fine.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know, like I've said this before, and people would just go, "Oh, it's because you're a fanboy or whatever." But it's just most of Sony's first party stuff doesn't really appeal to me. I played through it, and I kind of, after an hour, I'm kind of feeling a bit bored and want to move on to something else. But I played through it. I finished it. I enjoyed it. No real desire to play it again.
You didn't like the father-son dynamic between Atreus and Kratos?
It was fine.
Oh,
okay. I think The Last of Us did pretty much everything it was trying to do, but better, and years before. But no, I think it's a decent game, but it's not. It wouldn't make any Game of the Year list for me personally. So Ragnarok, I'm not particularly fussed about. If I had a PS5, I'd play it, but I'm not going to go out and buy a console for it. And I mean, it looks nice.
Okay. There was more games.
Yeah. What else did they show? This is where we stopped doing.
Well, there's a new Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2.
And plus, it's got Venom, which is a very, very good timing with the new Spider-Man film coming out. new Venom film coming out, which are going off on the one. I saw the first Venom. I thought that was absolute pony. I thought that was a pile of shite. I was like, what? How are people getting hyped for this? This film is crusty. I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but you can tell I didn't like it. I was like, I sat through the whole thing. I was just like sitting there going, when does it get good? This is so crap. And
I saw the trailers before it came out, and I was like, this looks awful. And I never bothered watching it, and then reviews came out, and I was like, yeah, it kind of solidifies what I thought.
It's not good. It got a good fan
there's some people that really love it.
Yeah, but the critics didn't like it.
It's shit.
But the fans love it only because you know Venom's a popular character for some weird reason. I mean, when he first got introduced, and Black Suit Spider-Man, and then Eddie Brock got the symbiote. This is way back in the late 80s. Then I really didn't start getting into that character until like Maximum Carnage. I remember reading that when I was a schoolboy. I thought that was a really good series.
Carnage was great.
Yeah, that was probably my first like comic books series that I collected on the monthly when comics used to get released monthly, and in our corner shops. They don't do that anymore. Corner shops is like our convenience stores. I've seen the trailers. I was like, Venom, like Carnage looks shit, and I don't know why everyone got hyped for Carnage, because he's just a crazy guy. Like he's literally a murderer who gets. I was like, oh, okay,
death row inmate.
I was like, yeah, this doesn't have the complexity and subtlety as like a Joker or something like that. More than a one note sort of character going, I'm gonna go and kill everyone now. Oh, that's what he did in Maximum Carnage. He was just like,
yeah, but he had a lot of other villains around him as well.
He had his little posse, didn't he? He had that 8-legged doppelganger sort of Spider-Man looking
doppelganger.
Yeah. He had the
Hobgoblin.
The Hobgoblin had the female, like one who could blast shots from her hand. I can't remember her name.
It's been a while. I can't remember all of them.
It's been a while, and then like Spider-Man and Venom had to team up. I never really got Venom's hate.
Like, Cloak and Dagger in it as well, weren't they?
Yeah, and Firestar's in it. I remember she got introduced because they couldn't find the Human Torch, so they found the next best thing, and I was like, oh, okay. And and then Venom and Spider-Man team up. But yeah, anyway, like that game got announced, so it's Spider-Man 2, but it's not. I think you're gonna have like dual protagonists, because you got the Miles Morales Spider-Man in it, and you got the Peter Parker one, which I always found weird having both of them in the same universe, because you got two Spider-Man. So like, what you got, Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, blue Spider-Man, black Spider-Man, like of their costumes. I was like, find it weird, because like, again, going off on one, I think Miles Morales exists in the Ultimate Universe and then the Peter Parker there died, so he's the only Spider-Man there. That makes sense. He took the mantle up, but now I think it's canonical now that they're both in that Marvel sort of main timeline, because in the comics they got multiple realities and shit like that. But that's in
the reason I stopped reading Marvel back in like the mid-90s, because it was hard to keep up with all the bloody multiverse.
I've stopped reading comics years ago, man, because it's just so difficult to keep up. I collect like I was big into collecting Batman, like the Killing Joke and all that, and or Batman Year One, which I got the collection of. I really like those sort of standalone ones. The Death of Superman and all that. I got that. But yeah, stop reading it. And also, like, regarding Marvel, Remedy are doing a Wolverine game.
Not Remedy, Insomniac.
Sorry, Insomniac. Shit, got them
Remedy
confused.
Wolverine game would be something.
Yeah, that'll be something else. Sorry, Insomniac. They're doing a Wolverine, which will be exclusive to PS5. It seems. This is going to tie into our main topic, so we'll go back to that. Also, what else was in there? That's the main things of note, wasn't it? Really.
One other big thing, but that's kind of leading into our main topic.
Oh,
so
shit,
we'll lead in with that.
Yeah, we'll lead in with that. What other gaming news, Mr. Ross?
Sir Clive Sinclair passed away a couple of days ago.
Yeah, like you told me this before the podcast because we were doing a bit of prep. I didn't know who he was, but when you told me what he achieved, I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I know what he achieved."
Massive, like electronics pioneer in the British industry, and very much a pioneer of the British games industry with things like the ZX Spectrum and the ZX80 and all that, home computers and stuff, and just all kinds of stuff like pocket calculators. And then you must remember the Citroen C5, the tiny little one-person car that he wanted to make in the 80s, I think it was, and that didn't take off. But
I wonder why.
A huge influence on like the British electronics industry, and he died, I think he was 81, just died a few days ago. So thank you, Sir Clive.
Thank you, Sir Clive. Thank you. Moving on from that morbid topic, anything else, Mr. Ross?
There was an Nvidia Geforce Now leak.
That's right.
Which had a massive database of games that people were sort of speculating that means these games are coming to PC and stuff. And there was a couple of things in there. Like there were a couple of Microsoft game code names which Windows Central have kind of picked up on. One of them was Project Indus, I think, which appears to be like a city builder game being made by a studio, Oxide Studios, I think. And then the other one was Cobalt, but we already kind of knew that one. That was the code name for NXIL's next game, which is going to be a first-person steampunk RPG, which they're apparently going all out for and using Unreal Engine 5. And apparently they pitched it to Matt Booty, and Matt Booty just went, "Yeah, do it. Just go and do it." And Brian Fiber had to go back and say, "Just need to be sure you understand what us doing this means, because it's going to be a lot." And he was like, "Yeah, fine." So people are excited about that because it sounds like they're going to be really going all out. But there was also a lot of PlayStation stuff on there.
Yep.
If you can remember any games that were leaked off the top of your head.
The four game, the God of War game, it's coming to PC. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think that's one of the ones I saw. But do you know of any other ones that were meant to be coming to PC? Well, allegedly.
Off the top of my head, I cannot remember.
If you could just kill some time and I can have a look to see what was on there, because you've asked that question now and we got to sort of answer it.
Demon Souls is apparently on there.
Demon Souls, yeah.
The recent remake for PS5. Returnal. Horizon Forbidden West. I remember now. Horizon Forbidden West was on there because people were discussing it on Reset Era. And I remember some person saying, "Oh, I don't think this means anything. It's probably just something they're looking at, and it's probably years down the line if that comes to PC." And Alex Battaglia from Digital Foundry posts on Reset Era every now and then, and he posted underneath something like, "Oh, really?" or something like that. So people are thinking maybe that one's actually coming to PC sooner rather than later, because the first game's on PC. It's been on there since 2017, I think.
The port wasn't very good though.
It was a bit of a mess at launch, but people are now thinking maybe Horizon Forbidden West is out February, I think, next year. So now people are thinking maybe like within a year it'll be on PC, and that'll suit me because that is one PS5 game I am interested in, because I really like the original game on PS4, and don't have my PS4 anymore. I could play it on that if I wanted to, seeing as it's cross-gen, but gave my PS4 away. So if it comes to PC within a year, that'll be nice. I'll play it on PC. And personally, I really think like the more games Sony put on PC, the better, even if it's like a year, 2 years down the line, because I mean, I kind of don't want a PS5 at this point anyway. There's like a tiny handful of games I'm interested in, and I'm like, I can wait on those. If they come to PC, I'll play them there. So the more games Sony want to put on PC, the better for me. But there was that leak. I think Nvidia came out and said, "Oh, it's." I think they said it was like a legitimate leak, but that all the titles were just placeholder or something, which sounds like nonsense.
No, that sounds
clearly
like
what they mean is, "Oh shit, yeah, it's a real leak, but we don't want to say anything about it."
Yeah. That's such a flimsy excuse. A placeholder Placeholder now? What? No.
We just
Come
made
on.
some games up and put it on the list
Yeah,
just for fun.
yeah. What's our next piece of news, Mr. Ross? Because I know there's one more, right?
There's been some rumors going around,
Rumors,
which I don't know if there's actually any merit to them, because the main sort of starting source, I guess, was a guy called Skullsy, who's like a Bethesda YouTuber, I think. And I've seen stuff he's posted pop up here and there, and from what I can tell, doesn't really have a track record. But he was basically saying that there's a massive Microsoft gaming acquisition incoming on the level of Bethesda. And then like a couple of other tweets got sort of looped into it. I think Jez Corden from Windows Central posted something really vague, and Tom Warren from The Verge posted something equally vague, and people were like, "Oh, this must be related." So I don't know how much truth there is to it, if any at all. But Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, has said like they're still in the market and looking. So the acquisition's coming. I don't think it's going to be anything as big as Bethesda. That's kind of like a once in a lifetime deal, I think.
The developers that were on one of the rumored ones was you had Sega, you also had Square Enix, Take-Two. So there's some interesting ones there, and it's not like Microsoft can't afford them. They have like $190 billion in liquid assets.
Easy money.
They
got proper fuck you money.
They got crazy. I mean, every studio has a price, but I don't know if like you said, I think Bethesda's their big one that they splashed out. I can see them acquiring some smaller studios, nothing on the level. I'll be very surprised if it turns out to be one of these big developers that they're looking to acquire. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because speaking of which, there's the Xbox Tokyo Games event coming up this Thursday, which hopefully I'll be doing a live stream on. It's on at 10 o'clock UK time, so I'll be able to stream that in the morning.
Which is actually pretty reasonable for a Japanese stream.
Yeah. I'll be there with my cup of tea and my toast,
and your slippers and
my slippers. Yeah,
gym jams,
my gym jams, everything. So come in and tune in for that.
Cap on.
Everything, man, everything. But they could announce an acquisition at the event. We've been told not to keep our hopes up for this
anything,
because if the Gamescom one there's anything to go by, it's probably like nothing's going to happen. But maybe they might have a deal with some Japanese developers out there, because they've been looking to expand into Japan, because the Xbox Series consoles have been doing quite well out there, like much better than the previous gen. It's doing really well, not as on the level as PlayStation or Nintendo, because obviously that's not going to really happen, is it?
In relative terms, though, they're doing quite well.
So
they need to actually capitalize on that and actually bring content that market wants to play.
But but let's talk about that segue we were going to speak about that ties in nicely to our main topic, which is times exclusives,
which I feel is going to get kind of spicy.
It could do, man. That's why I'm not drinking today. I want to not get too emotional.
You say that, but I saw that pint of vodka you had earlier.
Yeah, it's a pint of vodka, man. Like, come on. But no, seriously, like one of the main talking points was the announcement, which we spoke about on the last podcast, remakes, is the remake of Knights of the Old Republic.
Your favorite game of all time.
My favorite game of all time. And it is a timed PS5 exclusive, launch exclusive. It's coming out on PC, PS5, but not on Xbox, where the game originally came out on. A lot of people at the time were confused about the wording, because these days games companies have been very sort of vague with or misleading with their the sort of marketing, because they don't say timed exclusive anymore. They say exclusive at launch, but people think that it means it's a console, it's exclusive for the PS5, which it's not. The new studio, some of the lead developers have come out and say, oh, it's a timed exclusive. it'll be coming out on other consoles. And a lot of Sony fans have said, "Oh, well, no, it's an exclusive because Sony are paying for it." I was like, "No, they're not. They're not paying for it. They're not paying for the development. I think like LucasArts are like and Disney are putting the money in. It's just that they made a deal for it to be exclusive for a year on their console. That's how it normally works. They're not paying for the actual game to be made.
What they'll be paying for is a bit of marketing strictly for the PS5
exactly.
version.
I think like because Lucas Games has been revived, so that's the studio is what's the studio's name? Aspire. They're the studios making it. The money behind it is Lucas Games, which has been financed by Disney. So they're not putting any money into it themselves. It's just being developed. They bought the exclusivity. They've taken it away from from Xbox and other platforms, but it's coming out on PC anyway, which I'll be buying it on PC. Excuse me. I always obviously I have fond memories of it. It's like my favorite game. It's probably it is my favorite game of all time. And I played it on the original hardware. I've played that game like 10 times.
You played it fairly recently on stream.
Yeah, back in the day. Remember Mixer? I played it on that. So I was actually thinking of doing another playthrough of it on Twitch, because it's got like an upgrade on the current gen console. So I was thinking of doing that, but I'm not too sure now. But timed exclusive deals have been a thing, and it's becoming more prominent this generation, particularly with Sony, that seem to be in the habit of buying exclusivity deals, particular games. I mean, if we can just say, as an example, there's Deathloop, which has come out to rave reviews, many people's game of the year already. And that's a company that's owned by Microsoft, but obviously that deal with Sony happened before the deal with Bethesda. So that's a year exclusivity deal.
Yeah.
A lot of people are talking high praise for it. I've obviously haven't played it yet because I don't own a PS5. It's getting the praise, and obviously when it comes out on Xbox, it's going to come out on Game Pass. But by then, the hype is all gone. The talk is all gone. People got to wait a year to play that. So that's quite a shrewd and let's talk about that timed exclusivity in itself. I mean, like all games companies have done it. They've paid for it for the timed rights. I mean, if we go back to last gen, where I think this became a real issue, is when Xbox had a timed exclusivity deal with the Rise of the Tomb Raider, and that was a timed exclusive for a year. And oh my god, that was
hit the roof
and
carried on straight out into orbit.
I thought there was going to be pitchforks and torches. That the amount of anger over that deal on on social media was unbelievable. I mean, even respected game journalists like Eurogamer were writing articles about it, how about this practice. A lot of YouTubers were coming out with their videos about it, and I just sitting there going, I just think it's I just don't think that's consumer friendly. But to use that as an example, now that the announcement of Knights of the Republic come out, no one said anything. It's all well, people care. I care.
Well, some people care about the deal. Some people care about the game being announced, and that's all they care about.
And a lot of people
care less about the deal.
Say certain fans have come out and they're gloating about it. They think, like I said, they think it's a full exclusive, which is not. It's timed, but even still, that's still because that was going to make waves, man. Like because especially with the history, like with that game title with Microsoft, obviously, like it was developed by BioWare, released on the original Xbox and PC back in the day.
I mean, it was even Xbox exclusive for a while. There was a delay before it came out on PC.
Yeah, it was. I got the original art box, and it says only on Xbox. So yeah, that came out in 2003, like before the Attack of the Clones. So sorry, my throat's going really like graspy because I'm getting a bit annoyed. But yeah,
angry.
But yeah, this is like, I mean, I could go on about how annoyed I am about that exclusivity deal, because I wanted to play it on Xbox. Obviously, I can play it on PC, like, because that's this. Let's face it, it's only been announced, so I don't know how far they are. They're probably just they're hiring people for this, for the game. So it's going to be years before it's come out.
That's the thing. It's probably quite a while away anyway, and then people are going to have to wait. I don't know, maybe 2 years. Just picking a number out of thin air. Say people have to wait 2 years for it, and then Xbox has to wait an extra year on top of that. It's just kind of sucks. I think, and always have thought, timed exclusivity is awful. It doesn't do anything for anyone in like a sort of consumer aspect. Like PS5 players were going to get that game anyway, so it going timed exclusive does nothing for them. Doesn't change the deal for them at all. They were going to get the game. All it does is take it away from people on another platform. And literally the only ones that are benefiting from that deal is Sony, because they then go, oh, if you want to play KOTOR, you've got to buy our console. And I just think it sucks. It sucked when Xbox did it with Rise of the Tomb Raider. I wasn't championing that. I thought it was kind of stupid. And but I mean, it goes back to the beginning of gaming, really. Like, you see a lot of people. I have seen people complaining about the KOTOR deal, and people going, "Oh well, Xbox did it first." And like, are you for real? PlayStation have been in the market longer than Xbox, and PlayStation were doing this stuff before Xbox even existed. So let's not play the who did it first game, because that will be Sony, and then before that it'll be Nintendo, and before that Atari or something. People have always been doing this shit, but it's just the amount of vitriol it gets is not kind of balanced. Like you say, when Rise of the Tomb Raider was announced as a timed exclusive, that kicked off a proper shitstorm. Like, the internet went insane, and every time someone working on the game was interviewed about it, literally the first question, and this is coming from like people in the industry, journos, like, it wasn't like, so tell us about the game. The first question was always, when's it on PS4?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're not getting that now. With like, when PlayStation pulls a timed exclusivity deal, the same people don't care. They're like, yeah, so tell me about your game. Oh, it's exclusive for a year. Is it okay? Cool. Yeah. So what are you doing with the game? It's just a completely different situation. And don't want to make it sound like I'm like being a fanboy about it and say, oh, it's not fair. There is, I mean, you can go and check this shit for yourself. When PlayStation pulls this stuff, the vast majority of people do not care. You get people championing it, and then you get the vast majority of people just not caring at all. And then you get like the people on the other platforms going, well, hold on, this kind of sucks. And it's just like, well, it's not balanced.
Yeah. Well, like, a lot of people could say, well, it came out on Xbox and it's a Star Wars game. They had it for exclusive for how many years? It didn't come out on PlayStation. So why is it okay for them to do that at the time, and now it's not okay for them for Sony to do that? You know.
Well, I mean, Microsoft or Xbox rather, and BioWare had a relationship at the time. They did a couple of games. They did that. They did Jade Empire, and then Mass Effect 1. They published Mass Effect 1, and did they publish Jade Empire?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So they had a publishing sort of relationship with them, and BioWare hadn't released console games before. Like, KOTOR was BioWare's first console game. So that relationship would have been important for them moving onto consoles, which then obviously led into the huge success of Mass Effect and BioWare becoming one of the sort of, at least for a few years anyway, one of the top developers in the industry until they kind of fell apart a bit. But yeah, that's a bit different from Sony coming in and money hatting a remake of a 20-year-old game that's associated with Xbox. I mean, it's kind of, imagine like the flip side of that would be, imagine if a remake, or let's say another remake of Metal Gear Solid was announced and it was Xbox exclusive for a year. That's kind of what the equivalent would be.
There are rumors about Kojima working on an Xbox game. Can you imagine they buy the rights from Capcom for Metal Gear and then make it
Konami,
exclusive?
you were right the first time.
Yeah, sorry, Konami. Yeah, not Capcom.
Yeah, that would be the equivalent, like a remake of MGS being Xbox exclusive. People would hit the roof, and probably rightly so, because that's where they would expect. Like MGS1 is pretty much a legendary PS1 game. If you're going to expect it to be playable on any system, you'd expect it to be playable on like PS5. And similarly, if like people were talking when this whole KOTOR remake was rumored, people were discussing, oh, do you reckon it might be like Xbox exclusive? Maybe Xbox are like publishing it or funding it in some way or something. I remember people talking about that, and now the complete opposite has kind of come out. But as you're saying, like Sony are pushing really hard with the timed exclusivity bullshit, especially in the beginning stages of this gen.
Yeah, it's Xbox sort of going around. They're playing. They're not messing around this gen, because obviously last gen didn't go too well. The launch was a problem. The reveal was an absolute disaster, and from there it sort of went downhill. I mean, when they got Phil back, he sort of steadied the ship and sort of made it climb again. But there was that period where it didn't look good. Obviously, the lack of first-party exclusives was a massive thing. And I do remember, like Sony, back then they were buying games to stop it from being released on Xbox. Even like what's that game? That it's a developer that Xbox owns in the game. The one that Celtic, the pick character.
Oh, Hellblade.
That was an exclusive game. That was a timed exclusive as well, because that eventually came out on Xbox.
Well, I don't think there was actually a timed exclusive deal with that one. I think it was just the fact that Ninja Theory were really small, and they just were like, "Oh, we need to build it for the bigger audience."
Okay.
So I think they're always clear that if it was a success, it'd go on other platforms. But yeah, I mean, like,
Near Automata. That was an exclusive, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was for. I think that might have been about a year actually. So again, I don't know if that was just the fact that it's a Japanese developed game, kind of favoring the Japanese console, but it was about a year later, I think, that came to Xbox. But the big one last gen, really, and this wasn't even timed, this was fully exclusive, was Street Fighter V.
Oh shit, yeah.
I'm still mad about that.
Yeah. I completely forgot about that, because no one talks about Street Fighter anymore. But yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, because especially on tournaments, they always used to play on Xbox consoles. But yeah, they made that as completely. They just bought the. They didn't buy. I don't think they bought the rights to Street Fighter. They just bought that title, didn't they? So yeah,
that sucks, because Street Fighter is. Like, it may not be as big as it was in like the Street Fighter 2 days, but it has massive like cultural cachet. Everyone knows Street Fighter. Everyone grew up playing Street Fighter. Everyone remembers playing Street Fighter in the arcades, and it had always been on everything. Like Street Fighter 2 was on the Mega Drive and the SNES, and Street Fighter 3 was on PlayStation and Dreamcast, and the Alpha games are on everything, and then Street Fighter 4 was on everything, and then suddenly it's an exclusive, and people were fine with it. Like, that's fully exclusive. It's like one of the biggest names in gaming of all time, and it's now for some reason fully exclusive on PlayStation, and people are fine with that.
It's that's
still angry about it.
Still angry about it, and they're doing it. They've done it now with the Final Fantasy VII remake. They've extended that exclusivity deal for 6 months, and also with the new Final Fantasy coming out, which will be a timed exclusive for I don't know how long, probably a year.
A year, I think. I don't think they've said officially, but there's a industry analyst Piers Harding Rolls on Twitter when it was announced said it's a year, and it's like 6 months before it can come out on PC and a year before it can go to other consoles. And then there's Forspoken, the new Square Enix IP, which was also at that Sony show. Actually, we forgot to mention that.
Oh yeah,
the trailer for that. That one's a 2-year exclusive.
Holy shit!
Yeah, and then obviously there's Deathloop, which we've already mentioned. There's Ghostwire Tokyo is a year exclusive as well. Again, another game from a studio that Microsoft now owns. And I remember if it was before or after, but around the time of the Bethesda acquisition, there's a US games journal. I think he used to work for Game Informer, Imran Khan. And he was talking, I think he was posting on Reset Era about it. And he said that Sony have been like targeting games that you would kind of associate with Microsoft for like timed exclusivity deals. So people were sort of discussing what that could be. And then obviously when the Bethesda acquisition happened, he was like, yeah, Starfield was one of the ones they were looking at. So they were trying to like sign Starfield on a timed exclusivity deal as well. And obviously, like Bethesda Game Studios, maybe not the entire publisher, but Microsoft and Xbox have had a relationship with Bethesda Game Studios since the OG Xbox. Like they helped, like BioWare, really, they helped a PC developer make the jump to console, with Morrowind being like BGS's first console game, and that was on OG Xbox. And then Oblivion was like a year exclusive to the 360. I think a lot of that was just because the 360 launched a year earlier than the PS3. And then Skyrim had like timed exclusive DLC, which is also another stupid practice. But yeah, even before the buyout, Microsoft had a long history of working with Bethesda. So Sony were obviously targeting that to try and break that up. And they managed to sign Deathloop, and they managed to sign Ghostwire Tokyo, and they were apparently trying to sign Starfield. So you do have to wonder if maybe that was kind of part of the straw that broke the camel's back, and Microsoft were like, all right, screw it, we're buying the whole damn publisher to stop that happening. But now Starfield obviously is full exclusive for the Xbox and PC. But yeah, they've apparently been out there targeting games that people associate with Xbox. And another one that's being made, there's a new BioShock being made. And thing is, I don't really associate that strongly with Xbox. I mean, that one was actually timed on the 360. I think it was a year's timed exclusivity. It came to the PS3 a year later. So I guess people do kind of associate it, but I don't really, because there's like 3 BioShock games, and only the first one had any kind of deal on it. But that's another rumor that Sony are trying to money hat that as well. So they seem to be out there spending a lot of money taking games away from people, which maybe it would be better if they spent it'd be better for the industry, if you ask me, if they spent that money on just like signing up third-party exclusives that they fund, rather than just paying some money to take it away from someone else.
Well, because they're probably thinking it was like I think we mentioned before, it's have it for a year, you get all the accolades, you get all the acclaim, get all the awards. Then after a year, no one's going to talk about it.
Conversation's already been had.
Yeah, it's just already been had, isn't it? I mean, that Game of the Year awards, it definitely will be on there, and it'll get all the awards, and then after that, they'll have the Tokyo Wild, which will probably be another banger of a game. But they'll get all the money, they'll get all the praise and everything like that, and then yes, it's just like all the hype is sort of gone. Then it's yesterday's news, when it comes out. But it's just I don't know. It's just like really like it's really like Knights of the Old Republic, that being a timed exclusive. It's like that was probably like that was the biggest RPG on the Xbox, I think. So that was pretty
either
much
that or Morrowind. One of the two of them.
I think probably Knights of the Republic sold better than Morrowind. I'm pretty sure like they did better just because of the name. It gets so many recognitions.
I think
like
those
one of the
two
best.
are like in the top
Yeah,
sellers.
that was like
original Xbox.
That got so many so much praise. So got like 5 out of 5s and 10 out of 10s. Story was amazing and everything like that. And now that's coming out. I mean, like, I'm glad, like, we talked about it in our last podcast about remakes. And,
talk about timing, huh?
Yeah. Well,
getting excited about it in the last podcast, and now you're just completely.
Yeah. And, it does seem
upset
like
by it.
Just because of that practice of timed exclusivity, and they're targeting sort of games that were associated with the Xbox historically, it does seem like they knew what they were doing. That was it's a shrewd bit of I don't want to say
rude.
I want to say insidious because that's just you know what I mean. But that's
I mean, that's exactly what those deals are designed to do. That, like I said earlier, they're not there to benefit people that are already on the platform, because the deal doesn't change for them. They have a PS5, they'll get the game. It being a timed exclusive isn't of no benefit to them. It's strictly to make makes sense for Sony, in the sense of making their platform look better and the other platform look worse. So in that spirit of that, would you say these deals work for you? Do they make you want to go out and buy the console that they're announced for?
I think you know the answer to that, because we had a talk about this. Out of sheer spite, I'm not going to get a PS5. I'm like, well, it's coming out on PC. I'm just going to get it on PC, man. And when it comes out on Xbox, I'm going to buy a physical copy of it to put on Xbox. But I won't be buying a PS5 and playing it on that just for that game. I'll be like, "Fuck you! I'm not buying that." That's kind of the opposite. Like, I'm not going to go and buy a £500
reward them for it.
Yeah, for what you've done there, to like take it from other players and like give you my money. No, and I wanted to get a PS5. Obviously, like I weren't not desperately like wanted it, because there was no games like. There was games that are going to be released, but obviously, like, there was nothing that really thought, I have to get this now because I want to play it. But that has just made me not go, I've got to go and have to get this PS5 now. Spend £600 or so, like, or really like want to get it, and because I want to get this, I want to play this game. I'm like, no, it's coming out on PC. I'm going to get it on PC. So it's just done the opposite for me. Like,
I mean, I had the same reaction when Final Fantasy 16 was announced as timed exclusive. It was like, instead of me going, well, I guess I need a PS5, it was, F you, I'm not buying. I guess I'm just going to have to wait, be salty about it, but I'm not going to go out and buy a PS5.
This is exactly some of the responses people had with the Rise of the Tomb Raider deal. They were like, well, this is not going to make me get an Xbox. And they're like, well, I'm not going to get an Xbox for that. I'm not going to give Microsoft my money, because what they've done there is underhanded and sly. So I'm having exactly the same reaction. Going, well, I'm not going to get a PS5. And I was gonna get one, but with this announcement, I'm just like, no. I mean, like with the Final Fantasy remake, I bought it because I bought it on PS4. But this is like with something like that, where it's like, because I can sort of, it came out originally on PS1. So I can understand that they have that relationship. Yeah, that's fair enough. I completely understand that relationship that they had with the original Square. But with them targeting that game because of its association with the Xbox brand, I'm kind of like thinking, well, go fuck yourself, basically. I'm not getting your oversized fucking piece of plastic to like play that one game on there. No, it's coming out on PC. I'd rather buy a high-end or mid-range PC to play that game rather than buying a PS5. So no, and it's a shame because I own pretty much every console from last gen. I do like it, I do think there's some features on there that are pretty good. I do like the interactive like backgrounds, and I do like the fact that the music plays on it and shit like that. But from what they're doing with that and the way they're championing that, like it's, and the way that a lot of fans are reacting, and I'm getting no outcry from journalists. I don't think I've heard anyone, even Xbox fans, are just that's cool. I'll play it on PC. I'll just wait until the Xbox comes out. It's cool, and like you obviously getting like people in there going, well, blah blah blah. This shows the superiority over what you've done. You like Xbox have bought Bethesda and other game studios. Well, I'm like, well, yeah, you bought them. I mean, man, come on, you got Spider-Man coming out, which I think to be exclusive to PlayStation. Spider-Man, I can understand because Sony own the rights to the film version, but it never sort of owned the rights to the game version. I kind of feel like that was a deal between Marvel and Disney and Sony to allow Spider-Man to come to the MCU.
Into the MCU.
I think that was a deal.
But stipulation.
That I think, but now they seem to be doing it with other Marvel IP characters. I mean, Wolverine's a fucking PS5 exclusive. Not even, you can tell when it's a full exclusive because it's not going to come out on PC. That's when you know it's a full exclusive, not timed, because it's PS5. Okay, so
yeah, I think you can kind of see what Sony's strategy is here. It's like try and snap up the games that people associate with Xbox, so that people don't have those reasons to go to Xbox, and also try and associate Marvel with PlayStation, because obviously Marvel's been hot for the last decade because of the MCU. So they want to make it clear to people that if you want to play games with these characters that you've been watching since 2008, then you need a PlayStation. And it's a savvy business move from them. But when you're talking about huge international, like decades old popular IPs, I do think it kind of stinks a bit. But you touched on like the acquisition stuff there, and obviously that'll be the rebuttal a lot of people bring up, like, oh, how can you complain about timed exclusive when Microsoft just bought Bethesda? That's different. That's a different discussion. Like, we're talking about timed exclusivity and what that means, and we're not doing it to shit on Sony. It's just that Sony are doing it the most at the moment. It sucks when everyone does it. Like I said, it sucked when Microsoft bought out a year of Rise of the Tomb Raider. It was pointless. It sucks when they had timed exclusive DLC and map packs and stuff for things like Call of Duty and Skyrim. It's just it sucks no matter who's doing it. It's just that Sony are going really big on it at the moment. And but yeah, acquisitions are a different thing, and it's kind of like, I'm mad about Final Fantasy 16 because that franchise has been multi-plat now for over a decade. Like when Final Fantasy 13 came to Xbox in 2010, or even earlier than that, if you want to talk about Final Fantasy 11, which was on 360 in like 2006, 2007 or something. So that franchise has been multi-platform for sort of 10 to 15 years at this point. And I wasn't begrudging Final Fantasy 7 because, like you said, the original one was a huge PS1 game, and I have a copy of it on the shelf. So I wasn't mad about that being a year's timed exclusive. But 16, the next new mainline game being timed exclusive, sucks. It really sucks, because that's been a big multi-platform franchise for years now, and I hate that they've snapped that up. And do you know what? It sounds completely backwards, but it'd be better if not. Well, it wouldn't be better, but it'd be more. I'd be more likely to go and buy a PS5 if Sony just outright bought Square Enix, because then I'd be like, okay, well, I guess I have to buy a PS5 for those games now.
Yeah.
Versus just being annoyed about it and having to wait a year.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it sounds backwards, but there you go.
Well, like I said, there was a rumor that like the next acquisition could be Square Enix, but I doubt it. I really doubt that. I highly doubt. I mean, like, if they do it, I'll be like, oh shit, that's gonna cause a lot of problems. Obviously, Sony will still have the timed exclusive rights with certain titles, but yeah, that will be a big one. But I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, it's the same kind of deal with Sega. I think if Microsoft bought Sega or Square Enix, I think that would mean the death of a lot of their franchises in Japan, because Like, as relatively well as the Xbox is doing in Japan now, it's still like a fraction of the other two. It's like a fraction of Sony, which is a fraction of Nintendo. So if you pull the games off of those platforms in Japan, then those franchises are dead in Japan, basically.
Like Microsoft, Sega have been struggling recently, especially with the COVID pandemic. Like a lot of their Sega buildings in Akihabara are closed down. The iconic ones. You know which ones I'm talking about? I think all of them are closed down. Yeah, I think they had like 3 or 4 in that area. The
red Sega buildings.
Yeah, I know there's one near the station and one like
on the main street.
Main street, yeah. They're gone. So maybe like Sony are looking to sell off their assets, and maybe not Sony, Sega are looking to sell off their assets, and Microsoft just could be like, well, hey, like Phil Spencer comes in there with his geeky t-shirt and his little like his blazer, kicks the door in, gives us everyone a cheeky little slapper across the cheek on the cheeks, and just bring out like like a big brash American guy and just clicks his fingers. Guy comes in there with a suitcase of money and he's just like, yeah, you want to take my money, don't you? Obviously, like, Phil don't sound like that, but
the thing is, like, Sega's Western studios would actually be a really good fit for Microsoft because they're pushing more into PC now with things like Flight Sim and Age of Empires and Gears Tactics and stuff like that being built first for PC. So they're trying to have a bigger presence on PC, and most of Sega's Western studios are like PC developers, like Relic, and those would actually be a good fit. But their Japanese stuff, I don't know. That would be a bit difficult, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
unless what they did was just make the games like exclusive to Xbox in the West, but multi-platform in Japan or something.
I mean, it could happen.
Maybe that would work.
I mean, there are games out there when we went to Japan that I've never seen released in the West that were on the Xbox and PlayStation. Obviously PlayStation, yeah, but with Xbox, it was like games. I mean, I bought a game about Clanad, one of their characters. I was like, what the fuck? I've never seen this before. But it was on 360. I was like, oh hell yeah, I'll buy that. I'm never going to play it because it probably won't work on my old 360. But I just want to have it. I was just like, hell yeah, sure, man, why not?
There are actually quite a number of like Xbox 360 and even Xbox One Japan exclusive games, like really niche stuff that people over in the West, would never even heard of. I mean, even stuff you have heard of, like Steins Gate, was a 360 exclusive, if I remember correctly, in Japan.
Oh shit!
In its original release, and they got actually some really quite surprising exclusives, even when the consoles weren't doing well, but they were very sort of niche games. But yeah, I mean, they have always had a presence there. It's always a bit overblown. I mean, like you go to like the big electronic stores, even during like the Xbox One era when we went a couple of years back, they still had like presence on the shelves. It's not like they just don't exist there. That's just
you definitely know there's some like otakus who are into Xbox, like big. Like,
I mean, that's what the 360 was. It was like the proper like hardcore niche gamer, console of choice.
You want to be a gamer, you gotta get a 360 in Japan anyway. Like the proper like underground, like hardcore ones. Do you know what I mean? PlayStation, that's mainstream, man. You want to get this? You've not heard of this thing, have you? but yeah, like timed exclusives, man. Like you said, I don't like it when Xbox do it. I definitely don't like it when Sony do it. Nintendo, do they do it? They just tend to be in their own world, isn't it? So
they do, but with like smaller games, I guess, like Demon Cross Machina was a Switch exclusive and then came to Steam after, I don't know, like 6 months or something. And then Octopath Traveler was it was a Switch exclusive for a while and then came to PC and is now on Xbox. People were speculating the same with like Bravely Default 2, but obviously not with like these huge AAA games like Final Fantasy 16, because obviously they don't tend to be on Nintendo platforms these days. But yeah, they still do it. It's just it makes less people mad because they're smaller games, I guess. But it sucks no matter who's doing it. You can only if you want to look at it from a business perspective and be like, oh no, it benefits the platform because this, blah blah blah. If you want to do that, that's fine by me. But looking at it from a consumer perspective, no consumers benefit from it, because if it's timed exclusive to the platform you play on, you were going to get it anyway. So literally all it does from a consumer practice, from a consumer standpoint, is make things worse for people. And there are literally no upsides on the consumer side of things. I hate it, and I've always hated it. It's always been shit. And it's just like, I remember years back when Mass Effect 2 came out, and you and me were excitedly talking about it, and we were talking to Dan about it, and he couldn't play Mass Effect 1 because it wasn't on PS3, which is the only console he had. And it kind of sucked that he couldn't play it and join in the excitement with us, because it was a timed exclusive. That was a long one as well. That was like 5 years. It was exclusive to the Xbox. And I think in the end, he like dug out Nicky's old Xbox, and I lent him the game so he could kind of catch up. But it's just not a good experience when some people have to miss out just because the platform holder wants to make your platform look like crap.
I gotta say, like, speaking of Dan and his significant other, Nikki, she was really into Xbox at the when we first met, and now I've slowly been beaten out of her. Now it's just pure PlayStation, man. Dan's like no.
This
Xbox.
is a PlayStation household.
No Xbox, just PlayStation only. So yeah, I remember Nikki was like into Xbox and into 360 and stuff, but now it's no only PlayStation.
She's going to have to get back into Xbox if she wants to play the next Fallout. Big Fallout fan.
They're not really PC gamers as well, so they will have to either buy a decent PC or get an Xbox. So yeah, if they want to play all the games that are coming on from Bethesda. So if they want to play the new Fallout, play the new Elder Scrolls, going to buy that. Which, like, we're kind of saying that, you know, it kind of sounds like we're contradicting ourselves, but this is like acquisitions. These are bought.
Well, yeah, as I say, that's a different discussion from like timed exclusivity, and you're well within your rights to be annoyed about that too. I remember people gloating about it in the Xbox thread on Reset Era when it was announced, and I just remember thinking, just let people be annoyed. That people have a right to be annoyed that they're going to lose out on these games now. But yeah, it's a different discussion. But it's also one I have seen used, because I saw people like upset about KOTOR, and then other people saying, "Oh, well, you're an Xbox fan. You just got Bethesda." And it's like, well, it's not like, what if that person doesn't give a shit about Bethesda's games, but they're really into, say, Final Fantasy? They're losing Final Fantasy. Just because Xbox bought Bethesda doesn't mean they're gaining anything back. They don't care about those games. So it's not really a rebuttal of that discussion. It's its own discussion, really.
Well, remember, like, Bethesda makes shit games now. Apparently, all of a sudden their games are shit. I was like, okay.
I saw that happen when Ninja Theory were acquired. Because like every thread on Reset Era about Hellblade before that was people saying how amazing it was. And like, oh yeah, it's so great. The positional audio is amazing. Make sure you wear headphones. You're going to love the game. And then when Microsoft acquired them, you could see it, like the discourse change. People were like, oh, that game's kind of overrated, to be honest. The combat kind of sucks, and the story's not really that great. And it's like the discourse completely shifted. And it's just like, if you're annoyed about it, just be annoyed about it. Don't like change your opinion because now you don't have access to their next game. Just say, yeah, it was a great game, and now I'm annoyed I won't get to play the next one. That's a perfectly valid position to hold. But yeah, it's just that's fanboys for you, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fanboy of Knights of the Republic. Yeah, massive.
That's the thing. I'm not a fanboy of any platform, but I am of certain games. I'm a huge Halo fanboy.
Yeah,
I'm not going to deny that. But it's not. I don't love Halo because it's on Xbox. I love it because it's Halo.
Yeah.
The same thing with Final Fantasy. I don't care what platform it's on. I love the games.
I mean, yep. Like, it's a shame that Knights of the Republic never really took off as a franchise, because 2 was done by a different studio, and they had like just over a year to develop it, so it was rushed. But if you look back on it, it's getting a lot of appreciation now. People are looking back on it and go, you know what, the game was is actually pretty good. Some
pretty
even
special.
say
Just needed more time.
Some even say it's better than the original.
Had that restored content mod well, I say recently, it was probably like 2 years ago now.
Yeah, I got that on. I've been playing that on PC on my laptop. So yeah, I remember playing it when it came out. Back then, I was like, I didn't really take in consideration development time. I was just really excited that it was coming out in like 13 months.
It was an more innocent time.
Yeah, we were going to the university in Elephant and Castle, and in Elephant Castle Shopping Centre they had a WH Smith's. I used to go in there and get spend hours like just reading every Xbox like magazine they had. They were promoting it, and they had like that picture of the Jedi like fighting one of the Sith Lords. I was just like, oh man, this is so cool. It's like I used it as a library because back then I was a bit skint, so I was like, I can catch the bus home or could buy this. I think sometimes I did actually have to walk home because I bought the magazine because it had a giant poster in there. I was like, I got to get this, man. I was like, I got no money to get on the bus, man. So I was just like, I got to walk back all the way from Elephant and Castle to where I live, which is like about 6 miles. I was just like, yeah, through some really dodgy areas back in the day as well, man. Like back then in the early 2000s, they were quite and you know, you go there, people gonna rob.
You go there, you're gonna lose your Ko2 tour poster.
Yeah, they would nick my poster, man. They'll take it out of my bag. But yeah, so it's a shame. Like maybe this will kickstart a new sort of. Maybe they'll develop the remake the second one. Who knows? Maybe because it's not as iconic and well known and beloved as the first one. Maybe if it does right, and hopefully Sony doesn't do a fucking exclusivity deal with that one, then but you know, like maybe that you can see number 3 and stuff like that, which is weird because
that was another rumor as well, actually. Just why it comes to my mind, like people when the remake was rumored, like it was a bit confused whether it was going to be a remake or a new one. And then obviously like Microsoft owning Obsidian, people are like, oh wow, what if Obsidian are making it and it's an Xbox exclusive? That was another rumor that was kind of going on.
Well, yeah, because like Disney owned like the Star Wars rights, and now EA have lost that the right, the exclusivity deal to make play Star Wars games. So Disney is just gonna like partner up with loads of different developers now, so that'll be more interesting. But
yeah, it won't be Obsidian though, because they're making 4 games at the moment.
Oh, they're making fuckloads of games, aren't they? Jesus Christ, it's just like, we can't piling on the work here now, Microsoft. But yeah, like, so if we can, we'll wrap this up. My feelings on that on exclusivity deals is as I don't like them. You don't like them, and I don't
think any consumer should like them.
Well, people do like them because
people champion them because they're fanboys, and it gives them something to crow about with their platform, but it doesn't benefit them. Mm-hmm. People just need to stop being fanboys, quite frankly.
Yeah,
be fanboys of games, not platforms.
But I think it should have given everyone the opportunity to play it on launch. You know, it should be for everyone to play. Because the only ones who are missing out are the fans. You know what I mean. And this is what annoys me with what they're doing seem to do with certain Marvel characters now, exclusive to PlayStation. When did that become a thing? I can understand. Look, I can understand like they if you develop your own characters, your own IPs, but when you're taking like icons, it's like they're gonna go, oh, we're gonna make a Superman game now, and it's only on PlayStation, on Xbox. That would be like, oh fuck me, that's a bit naughty. That is, because that's a global icon.
I mean, imagine if Microsoft had picked up Warner Brothers Studios and picked up the licenses with them.
Yeah, I mean, they could have had Batman on there. People are like, no, they can't have Batman on there. Why not? You got Spider-Man on there. Spider-Man's exclusive. That's not even out on PC, I think. So
well, it's kind of like the same thing's happening now with the Indiana Jones game. People going, no, there's no way that's going to be exclusive. It's like, well, why not? So that's also a Disney IP, just like Spider-Man and Wolverine. If Disney are okay with those being exclusive, why would they not be okay with Indiana Jones being exclusive?
That'd probably be I would say that'd be a timed exclusivity. Like, what do you think? That's not going to be a full exclusive.
Why not though?
Well, maybe like
Studios owned by Microsoft, just like Sony owns Insomniac now.
Oh shit, yeah. Oh fuck, yeah. That's a good point. I was thinking they weren't. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Yeah, because it's kind of. I was kind of thinking that maybe like they had a choice between like, okay, you get Knights of the Republic and we get Indiana Jones for a year.
Well, they like Oprah Winfrey.
No,
you get one, and you get one.
Yeah, like you could choose from two of our IPs. Which one would you like? And Xbox. So I was thinking maybe they're thinking, well, we've had Knights of the Republic on ours. You can have that, and we'll take Indiana Jones for a year. But I completely forgot that they own the bloody studio that's making it. So it's like, oh shit, that is actually probably gonna be a full exclusive.
Well, I mean, you'd think so. It's the only thing that really makes sense. I know the deal was probably done before Microsoft owned Machine Games, but what's to stop them having renegotiated it? I mean, they would have known they were talking to Bethesda at the time about a possible acquisition. So you think they would have actually looked into that. There's no way they're going to want one of their first party studios working on a game for the next 3-4 years that's going to be on everything. That just doesn't make sense from a first party perspective.
Yeah. Well, I have kind of like little sympathy for them because they've like taken two Marvel characters and made them their own. So when did that start to happen? Like, so
2018.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, great. It's only PlayStation. I got it. I played it. I love it. I think it's great. I was like, oh yes, it's a great game. It's good. But with other people, with global icons and franchises, I don't think it should be exclusive to one platform. It's got to be
exactly my reaction to Street Fighter 5.
Yeah. It's just kind of weird, like, because like everyone knows like Marvel and Wolverine with the Hugh Jackman and that's coming over to the MCU now. Like that character will be, and now it's just like, and Sony have been like clever, like, well, we got that exclusive right to make the game. So okay, great. So you sort of like not about the fans, like not everyone owns a PlayStation. Even now, we're like still difficult to get hold of a PlayStation 5. I mean, I don't know now because I haven't really been fucking bothering to try and find one. So I was just like, I don't care. But I know it's still, people are still having issues trying to get hold of one. Yeah, it's just like the other people, because that's not going to come out on PC. That's just PlayStation. So like, there's a lot of players that will be like, oh, I can't play it. Yeah. But then it'll get Game of the Year awards and people will be gushing about it and stuff. So just like how they did gushing over Deathloop now. And that's just that it kind of sucks up. A lot of people are like, yeah, it's Game of the Year. And everyone's like, oh, I'm playing it on PlayStation. So that's been associated with PlayStation. So
I mean, that's the entire point of these deals, to associate games and franchises with the platform.
Mm-hmm.
That's the entire thing. That's why they're doing it with Final Fantasy. They don't have to spend out to get the game fully exclusive, but if it's exclusive for a year, people will just treat it as a PlayStation game anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, probably got about 3 years to bloody wait until get some content on the new Knights of the Republic. But I'm glad that like they're bringing back Jen Hale as Bastille Shan. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, brilliant. I mean, like, she's going to sound different though because she's older. It's like when you get what's his name, James Earl Jones to do Darth Vader. He sounds older. It's like he doesn't sound right. He sounds tired. And Jen Taylor played her back in 2003. I mean, probably recorded. Jem Hale, sorry, played in, and she's going to sound a lot different now, man. It's been like 2 decades, pretty much. So she won't. The Bastila character is quite young. I think her character is canonically 18, 19. By that time, she's like a young prodigy. So you're going to have like Jen Hale player. No disrespect to Jen Hale, but it should probably sound a lot older because like I don't sound the same as to what I did when I was that young, like in my teens, early 20s. I sound a lot older, like my throat's different, but I'm not a voice actor, so what a fucking hell do I know, man. So but yeah, it's interesting. Like I'm gonna try and think of some positives. Like I want to know if the Revan character is going to be is it still going to be customizable, or are they going to go with a canonical like sort of look for him or her? I think they're going to go with a guy, because that's how it is going to be. It's how it is in the books. It's canonically how it is. But I wonder if they're going to stick with that, or have the option to create your own, like Revan. Or is it going to be voiced, or is she going to be voiced? I mean, like, I wonder if we're going to bring back like the voice actor for Carfa Nassi. You know, who played.
Well, I mean, maybe.
Aiden Alinko. Who knows?
Yeah, he was still doing Caden as of nearly a decade ago, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, what are they gonna like? It's going to be a shot-for-shot remake. They're going to add new things into it. Obviously, the game mechanics. Probably people saying they hope it plays like Final Fantasy remake, where you got like, like that. I don't know, like possibly like no one wants going to play like a real time.
Yeah, I very much doubt it's going to be real time with pause system again.
So it's going to be action. It's going to be action, man. It's going to be like jumping around. And
I mean, the thing you could probably, the closest analog you could probably think of would probably be something like Mass Effect, but without guns.
Which will Mass Effect though? The Mass
Effect 2? Some amalgamation of Mass Effect.
Yeah,
but it'll be like that, where you can like bring up like power wheels and stuff like that, rather than like pausing to.
I mean, if they did it like how the combat is in Final Fantasy, which I doubt, it'll be good, but that was a bit OTT. I don't see like, even if the Jedis and stuff, they won't be doing those fucking crazy moves and shit. So, but yeah, timed exclusives suck, man. They really suck, and especially like when it's a franchise that you really like. But I know people probably, if they listen to this, they're like, "Oh, just buy a fucking PlayStation." I'm like, no, I'm gonna get it on PC, man.
I refuse.
I refuse. How dare you? Like, fuck you, Sony. You're not getting my money, man. This is the first time ever I've felt like that, where I've just gone around and go, you know what? Nah, I can sort of see when people like turn around and go, well, I don't want Xbox. Fuck them. They're conniving, scheming like company. Now I'm like, well, that's how Sony are. Like that.
I mean, they're all the same. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
they all do this. All this
I don't know why we're holding one. Like it's all because of what happened in last gen with the the always online, the disastrous like launch of the Xbox, and what's his name, that guy. Oh God, Jesus. Well, people don't have internet. Well, they can play. You can use Xbox 360. I was like, oh Jesus Christ. What is up with this man? Does this man have no sort of like media savvy or anything? Who is this man? Like, I'm so glad they got rid of him. I don't know what he's doing now. Maybe sweeping the floors in
he went to be the CEO of Zynga, the mobile game company, and then I think he failed there too. No idea what he's doing now.
What were they thinking? But yeah, damn it, it's like when you said that the Final Fantasy 16 is exclusive to PlayStation, a timed exclusive, and you were quite annoyed with that. And I was like, it's fine. Don't worry about it, man. Like, let's get a PlayStation. I'll be doing that, because that's not coming out on PC, is it? On launch?
No, it's 6 months later on PC.
So are you going to?
Well, here's the thing, right? Because I do usually end up with all the consoles by pretty much the midpoint of the gen. PS5 is the first Sony console I don't own. Like, I own 1, 2, 3, 4 PSP and a Vita. They've never been my main console, but I've always had them.
Yeah,
just to play games that appeal to me. But PS5, my PS4 mostly went unused last year, and I probably played like a dozen games on it.
You no longer have it as well.
Yeah, I gave it to my brother when the new gen consoles came out, and so I was kind of like, do you know what? I kind of come to the realization that most of Sony's first party stuff doesn't really mean anything to me. Like, I think the Last of Us games are great. I loved Gravity Rush, Wipeout. I always loved, but other than that, like Uncharted, don't care.
Horizon Zero Dawn, it's good.
Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn I liked, but again, like, that came out on PC eventually. I figured that Forbidden West would come to PC at some point, and I'm happy to wait.
Sorry. One more thing. Yeah, Uncharted is coming to the Uncharted collection is coming to PC.
Yeah, I won't be buying it.
Okay. All right.
played all of them once through each, and it's like once is enough.
Okay, I'll shut up.
But yeah, like Uncharted, I don't really care about. God of War, I don't really care about. Gran Turismo, I don't really care about. Like the vast majority of Sony's first party stuff doesn't really mean anything to me. So going into this gen, I was kind of like, well, I'll probably just not get a PlayStation this gen. And then they announced Final Fantasy 16 was timed exclusive, and that's a game I need to be there day one on. And so I was kind of like, I'm really annoyed about it, but am I going to buy a PS5 for it? So the choice is, do I buy a PS5 for like 500 quid or whatever it is in a 70 quid game, or do I just hold out for 6 months and play it on the PC I already have? So unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait 6 months to play it, which sucks because it's like that and Halo are my two favorite franchises. I can't imagine not being able to play Halo on day one. Final Fantasy is the same. But it's going to have to happen now because Sony have just gone and splashed their cash to the detriment of me and many others.
Yeah. Now I completely understand now. I was just like, well, at least I got the option to get it on PC on launch, which I will be getting it on launch. I'll be getting. Obviously, I definitely want a physical copy, but I can wait for a year to have the physical copy of the Xbox version. Have that. Hopefully, I don't know if they'll release like a special edition or something. I don't know. Probably, maybe not. Who knows? But I'll definitely, if they did, I'll be like, hell yeah, I'm getting that. So that's, it's like you with Halo, man. So, but yeah, it's not a good practice. I don't agree with it. I don't. Has this gen has Xbox had any timed exclusivity deals just to cover our bases? Is there anything?
A couple, but they've been really small stuff like the Falconeer, and then
and the that recent one, the game
Stalker 2 is the Medium,
that was
and then Stalker 2, which is coming out in April, I think. But yeah, for their Xbox, it's been much smaller stuff.
But it's nothing been on the scale as a big name. I'll say like Final Fantasy franchise, and now Knights of the Republic, and obviously a couple of Bethesda games, but yeah. So then it's not they're not. It's a bad practice, like, but obviously we have to talk about it because that's such a big IP. It's huge. They even said it's celebrated game. I think they're kind of rubbing it in a bit, like this game. I was just sitting there going, "Fuck you, man!"
The amazing game you played on the OG Xbox. Now can't play on your current Xbox.
Yeah, the legend continues. Like the legend's being revived. I was just like,
but not for you that played it the first time.
Fuck. I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been exclusive on full exclusive, but that would have been. I've just been like, I would have been like, you know what, Disney Plus, fuck, I'm getting rid of my subscription. Fucking hated like the Rise of Skywalker and the Last Jedi. At the time, I liked Rise. I watched it the other day. And I was like, oh man, this film's all over the place. I was just like, do you know what? I like the spin-offs bit more than the mainline trilogy.
Rise of Skywalker is a little bit of a mess, but it's got some great moments. It's kind of all over the place.
Hey, like we could make a podcast about it, but we watch it.
I feel like we've gone into Star Wars discussion on a lot of podcasts
just like
that aren't about that.
Hey man, hey! I watched it in the cinema with you, and I was like, yeah, well, it's not bad. Then I watched it again on Disney Plus. I was like, oh boy, oh, this is a little.
It's kind of all over the shop.
This is it's like to get a thing, to find a thing, to get the other thing. It's like a scavenger hunt. I was just like, oh man.
Edge Quest.
What is and then like Palpatine's back. The stupid phone like Star Destroyer's fully manned under the ice. I was like, oh my god, oh Jesus.
So anyway, timed exclusivity sucks.
Timed exclusivity sucks. The new Star Wars like films suck. Apart from spin-offs,
life sucks,
and I don't like timed exclusivities. Fuck you, Sony. I'm not getting a PlayStation. I'm not getting one now. Man, like I was gonna get one, but that kind of stealing away your child and just like expecting you to pay for it, like to get it back, and just like, well, I know. Fuck you.
It's a nice game you got here. Be a shame if something would have happened to it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's it still feels like a dick move, and it was. They knew what they were doing. Very like clever in their part to do that, and obviously like apparently like now Disney and Sony got some sort of thing going on. I don't know how that's happened. I don't think that is, but especially with Wolverine being exclusive, I was like, oh, I like Wolverine.
Well, see, that's the thing. Spider-Man and Wolverine have been my two favorite Marvel characters since I was a little kid.
What's going on there? Like, huh? Why didn't you just have the whole thing like just be exclusive to them for all of a sudden? Like, what's going on? But there you are.
Because otherwise, we couldn't have got that mediocre Avengers game.
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, cheers. That pile of crap. But right, the future of what we planning, because Halloween's coming up, Mr. Ross.
It's not far off at all.
Yeah, so we got a month of horror. I got a few games lined up. We got a special sort of different video coming up that we're planning. So that'll be fun. Hopefully, want to do some live streams during that as well. But we'll be making like YouTube videos for it as well. Yeah, so anything you got, I got a video coming up for the channel for exploring Game Pass series, which will be coming up probably Monday, or because this podcast normally goes up on Wednesdays, so probably Monday, probably like of this time the video will already be up. So anything you got, Mr. Ross?
Yeah, I've got an exploring Game Pass video which I'll stick up towards the end of the week, and after that, I guess we'll see. I still haven't kind of decided what I'm doing because I did my Psychonauts 2 VR video, which did okay as far as our Let's Plays go, but I haven't decided what I'm doing post that yet.
Yeah, we've decided to move away from Let's Plays because it just doesn't do very well. There's no point of putting up a video where only 2 people watch when you get 2 views. It's just kind of disheartening. And it's like, well, I got like 10 more hours of this. Is this going to be the same? Like, what? Because we started off quite strongly, and then I think because of the rise of Twitch in the last few years, it's kind of made that obsolete. So that called long format video, like long series.
Recently put up, just before I forget, a video of the Final Fantasy 14 vinyl box set. So go and check that out if you're interested. That one's doing all right as far as videos go, which is nice.
I also did a video of where we go to the Sake Kampai in London, of our journeys there. I tried something else where I sort of narrated and had video over because there wasn't much footage. So, I said, I'm going to try something different. And
we got a bit drunk and forgot to actually record much.
Well, yeah, I think I probably would have tried this format as well, because there's not so much you can do with just showing you just sitting around drinking. So I thought I wanted to explain and talk about the history of the place and what our final thoughts were and everything like that. But so please give that a watch. And I think that's all we got, Mr. Rawls. So yeah, thanks for watching. This video will be available on Spotify. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Game with Chums. Check out our other social medias. Rawls has his own Twitter account, which I'll put the links in. I have my own Twitter. Please follow me on that. And our other social media, we have Twitter, Instagram. So yeah, please follow us on that. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again. Try not to be too salty. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.